Okay, welcome back to video number 6. I'm doing 4, 5, and 6 all in one shot today. It's a lot, but I'm really pumped up to get this done for you guys. So this is the introduction to me. We're going to talk about me for a while. I didn't want to do that up front like I did in the 1.0 course. I wanted to give you guys, I wanted to rip your skull off and shit down your neck first before getting into me. I just want to go over who I am and kind of my background and stuff. I'm just going to do it super briefly. We'll go over some of my websites and stuff, and then that's it. I don't really want to get into this too much, but I know a lot of... So I was born in Maryville, Indiana, and I grew up in a small town called Chesterton, Indiana, until I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old, and then my mom met... she was getting some insulation done on the house that we had. I still remember the name. It was, I think it was like 420 South 15th Street or something is where we were living at. I forget, something like that. And I had this big, huge yard and this big tree fort looking thing in the middle. And I had this bicycle I'd ride all day long every day. And my mom was getting some home insulation done, like in the walls and stuff. And she met this guy. He was an insulation salesman. He was a farmer. And I ended up moving out there. I really didn't want to go. I was horrified. About 10, maybe 9 or 10 or 11 years old, I moved to Hebron, Hebron, Indiana. And that's where I was at for many years. And I was expelled from school twice, once when I was maybe 7 and maybe once when I was like 5 or 6. And my mom sued the state of Indiana. I've talked about this on some of the shows I've been on, and there was a place called Porter Stark, which was like a therapy center, and half the therapy center was transformed into a school, and it was just for me and this kid named Mitchell, who actually reached out to me on Facebook recently. It's kind of wild. And Mitchell was probably about 14. I was probably about 9 or 8 or 10, and it was just me and him in the whole school. And he had severe anger issues, and he would just freak out and just start beating the shit out of you for no reason. And I was like, hey, Mitchell, good to see you there, buddy. Hey, buddy, you need anything? You need anything? And I was his only option as a friend. So we became friends. And then more and more real anger issue type kids. My mom sued the state of Indiana, and the state of Indiana's response was to open up this special school for me and Mitchell. And then it became Richie, and these Tommy and these other kids came in, right? There was this lady named Tina. And Tina was this super highly trained martial artist, and she had this crazy mullet. She was like 80 pounds, but she would just like throw you across the room like you were a rag doll. I wish I could talk to Tina one day. She was great. And the nurse, I forget her name, she was real nice. But I graduated from that. I went back into special ed school. And there's some like random, like people are like, oh, this guy... got arrested, or this guy got arrested, Brandon Williams. You know, Brandon Williams is a really common name. My grandfather's like legal name was Joe, right? So my biological father named me after my middle name after my biological grandfather. So my middle name is not Joseph. It's actually literally legally Joe, Joe, right? And even Brandon Joe Williams is not the most crazy uncommon name ever. Never been arrested, never had any legal issues. I've been a good boy, paying my taxes. Literally, I'm telling you, bro, I was 16. I got my driver's license. Got my first job working at Taco Bell in Maryville, Indiana. I spent a lot of my time as a kid in Valparaiso, Indiana. My best friend Mike, one of my best friends, I had 2 best friends, right? One was named Carson Buchanan, and the other one was Mike Riffett, and later on he changed his name to Michael Marinos, right? And Carson was in Hebron, and Mike Riffett was in Valparaiso, Indiana. And I spent all my time with these 2 guys, Carson Buchanan and Michael Riffett, and what me and Carson used to do is we used to go to the movie Blockbuster or Hobbers or not Hobbers but Blockbuster or whatever, and we would go around and we'd try to find the shittiest horror movie we could possibly find, and whoever found the shittiest one would have to pay for both movies. And then we would go home and watch these he was a big film buff, and we would just watch these really shitty horror movies. I mean, just awful. Like the worst. So bad that they're hilarious, though. They're like comedies, basically, right? And what me and Michael Riffett used to do is we used to build cars and buy cars and race cars, and we would go out at night and we would try to get in high-speed chases with other people. Not cops, but like people. Go to the car wash and fuck with people and try to get them to chase us. And high-speed chase through town, and we would go on to people's properties, middle of nowhere, and we would knock on their doors. Now, I learned from Mike, right? This is my first sales anything, right? Hey, he'd knock on the door. He'd see some tall grass or whatever. Hey, he'd knock on the door, and he'd say, what's going on with this car out here? And blah, blah, blah. And he'd be so kind and so sweet. And he would go in and, it'd be the wife that answers the door. I've been telling my husband he needs to get rid of that car, blah, blah, blah. Oh, really? And Mike Riffett, I mean, he's just the best goddamn sales guy I've ever met in my life. I learned so much from him. And he would walk out of there with the title of the car for $20. We would tow that thing out of there. He had a little toolbox, little spark plugs, a battery. He'd get that thing started, man. I mean, he would get things to run that just didn't have a hope in hell of ever breathing again. And I was just in awe of this guy, just in awe of watching him and the way he worked. And I just wanted to spend all my time with him. And if he wanted to go buy a car, he was going to go by himself. I was begging him. I'll pay gas. I'll do anything. I wanted to go with him. And I witnessed hundreds and hundreds of car sales. And I witnessed them fixing cars, him and this other guy named Mike Sandberg, who passed away fairly recently because of alcoholism, sadly. And another guy named Ryan Lewis, actually. Amazing. We had a lot of, between the three or four of us, we had like, what a Fox body Mustang is, a Ford Mustang between 1979 and 1993. We had dozens, like 40 of them, I'm telling you, and Broncos. I never had a Bronco, but they all had Broncos, right? And we used to jump in train tracks and everything else. Had a blast with those guys. Really had a lot of fun. That was my childhood in Indiana. Went to Purdue University at 18, 19 years old. I was there for 1 year, flunked out miserably, got like a .001 GPA. I pledged Phi Sigma Kappa and Phi Kappa Sigma at the same time. You're not supposed to do that. Neither one found out, but I was independently kicked out of both fraternities. I actually got in Phi Sigma Kappa, which is called The Skulls. They've done some documentaries on that particular. At the very end, they had these like dark robes, and they kind of brought me into this room, and they gave me what's called the third black ball. And technically, I'm barred to ever step foot on any Skulls or Phi Sigma Kappa property or chapters anywhere in the country, I guess. I don't know. Not like I give a fuck, right? Let's see. I've had a lot of sports cars. I love sports cars. I'm big on motorcycles. Really big motorcycles. Women, motorcycles, and whiskey. It's like my three favorite things in the whole world. Okay. When I was about 10, we moved from, maybe 9, 10, we moved from Chesterton to Hebron. Destroyed my life. I was very upset about it. My uncle gave me an old 1984 Honda three-wheeler. And my grandpa gave me a 1971 Honda CL100 motorcycle. And those are the two things that kept me sane. And I was a big video games. I've always been really big into video games, even to this day. Not so much anymore, especially with all the stuff I have going on with all this stuff. But video games are really big to me, have always been. So I'm a Scientologist, as you guys are well aware. I'm one of the highest trained Scientologists in the world. I'll show you guys a few of the certificates that I have in terms of Scientology, right? I'm a Class 5 auditor. There's an internship that you do at the very end of the Class 5 course to get a permanent certificate. I'm at the very end of what's called the Class 5 internship before I get that. I've done the full Golden Age of Knowledge, which means the basics, books and lectures, the congresses, and the advanced clinical course lectures. Way later in the litigation section of the free course, there's a section where I talk more about all this stuff and how I did this and my past on this. And then I'm also what's called a gold sealed ethics specialist, which you can see here on the screen. And I didn't get into this one specifically on the later video. I'm not going to get into that now. I'll get into all that later. I worked for my church for about 8 years between 2006 and 2014. For most of those years, I started in Chicago, and then I moved to. So my mom was real sick. She ended up reading a whole bunch of books, trying to figure out what was wrong. And one of the books that she read was Dianetics. And then she's like, hey, this is a religion now. I want to check it out. I'm like, sure, whatever, fuck it. I want to go to Chicago. And then we went to Chicago, and that's how I got involved in church. And then I was really enjoyed it. I really liked it. And so I started working there, and then I moved to Chicago, and then I moved to Los Angeles because that's the international hub at that time. And it pretty much still is. I'm still here. And I was in LA from 2006 until 2010. And then I went to Florida for a short time, and then I went to New York City. And I was working at the church in New York City from 2010 until 2014, 15. And then I came back to Los Angeles in 2015, and I've been here ever since. And love Scientology. It's been a big, huge part of my life. It's a lot of how I do all the things that I do here in the legal stuff, right? I was a Cisco certified network technician at a very young age. We had vocational classes in my high school where you could like leave and go to a different school or whatever. There was a guy named Randy, I forgot his last name, Randy something. He was at Wheeler High School, and he was a very well-decorated Cisco networking guy, and he was just awesome. I just loved the guy to death. And so I did, when I was, I think, 17, I did the Cisco Certified Network Technician program. It's a 1-year program. It's not a 2-year program. So I did like a petition to Randy, and I said, I love the program so much, I want to come back and just do the same fucking program again a second time. And he had never really heard anyone ask that. And he said, yeah, sure, whatever. You're pretty cool. And so I was approved for a second year of Cisco. And then I went to school the first year. I didn't go anywhere, but I went to school the first year for computer engineering. And then the second year was for music theory. Musician, I played drums and sing and guitar. And I used to teach music theory to children for a while. This is a long time ago, long time ago. Like I said before, it's been a little bit of a mix-up. Me getting like so-called arrested or being on, various whatever, Brandon Williams or Brandon J. Williams or whatever. Never been arrested, never had any legal issues at all whatsoever. In fact, the last time I had a ticket at all was probably 2017, 2018. I rolled through a stop sign, and the cop pulled me over, and I was in my car I have now. I actually just bought it recently at that time. I have a 2009 Shelby GT500, and he said, I have a Mustang too, man. He's like, I feel you. I go, okay. And he gave me an unsafe start or rolling through a stop sign ticket or something like that. I went home and I went to helpigotaticket.com. It was way before I knew any of this legal shit. Nothing, not a word of anything in this course, right? And they had this thing called trial by declaration. And it's where you just say, I'm not guilty, fuck you, basically, and you mail it in. And if the police officer doesn't respond, then they drop your shit. And that's exactly what happened. And I have a very unique car, Shelby GT500, so I'm sure when he saw the documents, he remembered who I was. Maybe he just didn't respond or whatever. So the last time I've actually even had a ticket that wasn't thrown out, I literally can't even remember, because from 2010 until 2015, I was living in New York City. I didn't even have a driver's license. Well, I had a driver's license, didn't know anything about it, didn't know what I was doing. But I never drove. I never drove or had a car or a motorcycle or a scooter or nothing. I just took the buses and the trains. So by the time I had gotten back into driving and cruising around, it was 2015. So yeah. When I was in New York City, I used to stop like 60 girls a day on the street and kiss their hand and hit on them and say they're so pretty and where are you from and all this. It was kind of like a thing I was trying to do to like break out of my own shell. I ended up meeting this girl who was a dentist, and we ended up building a bunch of successful dental offices together. And then when I came back out to LA in 2015, my mom knew a guy who was a really cool dentist who didn't have much going on, and he specialized in this very unique type of dentistry. His name is Dr. Paul O'Malley, drpaulo'malley.com. And when I met him, he was just doing friends and family. He wasn't doing anything hardly at all with anybody. And I said, dude, what you specialize in, this biomimetic dentistry thing that you specialize in, is so fucking wild, and you're such a great guy, such a great dentist, and you care so much. This is going to be a slam dunk. And so for 8 years, up until literally last year, up until about October of 2023, I was with him. We built this beautiful dental office, huge. We built out a whole new space after a few years. We had so much going on in Encino, California. Really, really good stuff if you're looking for a dentist. Highly recommended. And so yeah, that's the basic background on me. I was just a good boy paying my taxes. Literally, I would do my own taxes. I didn't even have an accountant. I had an accountant, but I would just tell him the final numbers, and he would just, I don't even know why I was doing that, so stupid. But I would actually go through all my accounts manually every year. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to look over all the financial transactions for myself manually every single year. And I had a driver's license, had insurance. I mean, I was the perfect little white boy. I had everything perfect. Every single registration comes in, boom, I'm right on it. Driver's license, boom, I'm on it. My car, if I need to fix anything, it got fixed. I mean, I still, everything's fixed, but just always been right along that line of like little white boy, just following the law, following the rules. So for me, this was a huge transformational thing to kind of come up and out of that and to go through all this. And it came from the Employment Development Department, which is the payroll mafia police. I was taking over a landscaping company for free, and they were fucking with me. And it's a story I told in a lot of shows. I don't want to go over it again. I've told it a million times. But they were fucking with me. They were trying to tank the company, and that's kind of what started this whole thing. Anyways, so that's a little bit of background on me. I just wanted to give you guys a little something. I will. Let's take a quick run through my websites. I'm going to give you guys a little micro tour of kind of everything. And you guys will like this, right? So my main website, onestupidfuck.com. It's got links up here on the upper right to, all my good stuff. It's got links to, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Hold on one second here. Let me just check some. Okay, I'm back. So, so we've got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and then I have a TikTok. But dude, I hate TikTok so much. So here's the front page. There's not much here, right? It's kind of funny though. You guys are step-by-step guide. It's kind of like a breakdown. I'm going to make more updates on this as we go forward. This is kind of like where you can send brand new people, and it's kind of like a huge overview of like everything and all the different options they have, including a questions and answers, frequently asked questions page. There's also all this good stuff too. A lot of the main questions I get asked. Some really funny shit too, right? We have my stupid bio. This is a bio about me, a lot more information, personal things that I enjoy, TV shows, video games, motorcycles, whatever. Quotes from poetry, whatever, right? Don't Be a Slave book. This is a book that I wrote in 2019 about how to install sales and marketing systems into your company. This is My Love is a Battery book. This is like marketing and sales that turned into understanding seduction and romance. A guide to understanding how love is actually an energy that you can control Channel and Control, Unlocking the Secrets to the Best Relationships and Sex of Your Life. This is all available. Those 2 books are available on Amazon, right? State National Theory is basically just a book version of a lot of my information. You can get the first 6 editions of Black's Law here too. And you scroll down, it's all text. It's like a book. It's basically the length of a book too. I've written this and rewritten this and updated this so many times, I don't even like looking at it much anymore. It's almost just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of revisions and updates and stuff, but it's cool. Resources, State National Resources, just tons of random information, pictures, old. We got tons of different endorsements that we found, which you'll see later in the course, financial stuff, statutes, definitions, random, cool, useful stuff, definitions, all sorts of just a giant grab bag. I kind of use that as my like dump zone. Public notice is cool. It's just some definitions and like the definitions. It's like a whole dictionary of definitions. Just you'll see the same thing in my trust and stuff like that. Contract Killer course page. This is the sign up page for the Contract Killer course. Fan successes and submissions. This one here is just tons and tons and tons of success stories and messages and feet pics. I pretend to be into feet when I'm not. It's kind of a fun thing we did for a while. I kind of still do it every now and then. And just tons and tons of really beautiful successes and free cars and messages and love letters and gifts. People sending me gifts and all sorts of good stuff. So that's the that one. Podcasts is all the podcasts in my past. I've been on many of them. You can type my name into Spotify or YouTube or anything, and you're going to get like 8 million different things. So. You can either do it that way or you can come on here to my podcast page and you can see, I try to update this with a lot of info, right? And then the bottom 2 here are just links to external pages, right? So we have the Williams & Williams Law Group, the About page. On my About page, if you scroll down and you look at my my personal About section, there's a link on here for my state case legally changing my name from the all caps name to the lowercase. You can click here and you can see that case. You can see the filings and the affidavit into that case. If you want to see my registered trademark, I have a link to the USTPO page on that. And then if you want to see my UCC1 financing statement, which we're going to get into later in the financing section, don't get too caught up about that. There's a link to see that here. And then we also have a durable power of attorney, which we're going to get into later as well, I believe, between myself and the ens legis, which you can click on here and you can see that. And then I have all my services here, which is a detailed list of all my services. You scroll down, you can see all that here. The most important thing, though, is the questions and answers page for W&W. This is really important. You should actually go through here and read all this, questions and answers. It's very, very important and very, very useful for you, especially for later in the course when you start getting into enforcement and courts and litigation and all that stuff. So this is a really useful page. How litigation works, this is the breakdown of if you want to hire us as an attorney in fact. This is kind of the breakdown as to how that relationship's going to work. Articles, all sorts of different articles on all sorts of cool things, just kind of random shit that I might write, whether it be really cool poems, like LP is a really cool poem about a woman who I fell in love last year with, and then obviously things didn't work out. But I'm really grateful that we had a connection. I'm really grateful that we were able to connect, and you can see that poem here. It's a pretty intense poem. It's really pretty. In my opinion, it's really pretty. And then we have just random little stories or random little poems, or some things are kind of more utilitarian, and some things are more just really intense, like Letter to Parents is really intense. Police officer lost and destroyed. I was at a bar and I was talking to this cop, and it was this really, really intense, crazy thing that happened in conversation. It's a whole story about that experience. Love letter to single moms. So these are really interesting articles that you guys will find pretty fascinating. Maybe want to share them as well. Current and previous litigation. This is all the current and previous litigation. Once a court case is ready for to be mailed out for a summons, I put it on here. I just recently, like last week, started putting the recap links on here for the Free Law Project. Recap is super cool. So Recap, as long as someone who has Recap installed in their browser downloads anything from a court case, because all court cases are all public, you can download every single docket item. If you have Recap installed, which is this little icon right here that I'm putting on my little thing, you have Recap right here. Every time you pay for something on Recap, on Pacer, which is like the online thing that I'll teach you later in the course how to access, and you can download things for 10 cents per page from any court case ever, from anything. Recap is super cool because if you have Recap installed and you download items from Pacer, it goes into Recap, and now anyone can download all of those documents for free from Recap. So you'll see it. This is my Brandon Joe Williams versus American Express case. It's a very popular case, so every single item in the entire case is all available to be downloaded for free through Recap. So I put the Recap links to all of the cases, but like some of the cases, this one's pretty popular. You can see almost everything has been downloaded on this one. Maybe that's because I just posted these Recap links and did a whole thing about it. Yeah, see like this one here, one of my clients. This one here has got all the buy on Pacer means that it hasn't been purchased yet. So you can see that only maybe like 40% of these have been purchased, right? And then let's see, this is my first case. Let's see how many on here have been purchased. So you can see not that many, see. So it looks like my cases have become more popular as we've gone forward, which makes sense, right? So there we go. You guys will continue to see those. I'll continue to post those for you so that way you guys can access those without having to pay or anything like that. For those of you who are familiar with a lot of my work and stuff, you have to go all the way down to the bottom, and there's a secret menu here, and click here to see the store. Don't do it, right? So I do have a secret store, and there's all sorts of merchandise here, and you can actually order all of this. I have all of this pretty much in my apartment. I use all of it all the time. I have flags, tote bags, pins, iPhone cases, flip-flops, crossbody bags, pint glasses. This is one of my favorites, this coat of arms flag here. We have the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition glasses, flags. I don't really care if you buy any of this shit, to be honest with you. I use a company that does all the, fulfillment for me, so I don't need to do shit, and I just make a few bucks on each one. So I just think it's cool and kind of fun. I have all my own products, and I enjoy, I wear these flip-flops all the time, and I'm always drinking out of these glasses. I don't have one here, but on a lot of the other videos, you'll see it. And I have flags. The flag behind me is this one here from the store. Fanny pack, I got that. I've worn the goddamn swimming trunks for so many times and for so long they're like deteriorating. They're actually really nice, but they're deteriorating. I have tons of shirts and mugs and all this stuff. So hats. So I wanted to let you guys know that I have these the store. So hold on one second here. So another thing I wanted to show you guys is on my Instagram. This is my Instagram. If you guys look, I have 3 pinned videos. This one is nationality, citizenship, and taxation in 10 minutes. This one is driving, traveling, and all that horse shit in 10 minutes. This one's not the greatest video. I'll probably replace this one. And then this one is infinite money in 10 minutes, right? So if any of you guys want to share this information, you can get those. Those videos are also available on my YouTube. You can type in infinite money in 10 minutes or just type in 10 minutes basically on my YouTube channel and you can find them. But on Instagram, they're pinned and you can see here, watch my 3 pinned videos to learn the basics and then view my website to learn more. I did it on purpose because when I created these like last year, at the end of last year, it was sort of like for shareable purposes, right? The pickles and cucumbers thing, a lot of you are aware on my last course, 1.0, I talked about how, as you can see on my logos and everything, I talked about how, if you don't understand this, Jimmy Cucumber up your ass, and that became the thing, litigation fees and stuff, that's all covered on the how litigation works. If you're interested in litigating or whatever, you should read this page here to learn what it takes to work with us. I've had to work really hard to get here, obviously, nonstop. I started studying all this in September of 2021, and it's been like nonstop. So you can tell, that I am not going to stop. I'm really in it to win it. One of the main reasons why I'm doing this in such an intense way is I'm really pretty scared about the future of America and where I see things heading. Kind of concerned about it. As a Scientologist, I'm worried about having to come back to this planet. Do believe in reincarnation, or however you want to say it, and definitely going to be this next generation is going to be a dystopian nightmare if we don't do something about this. So that's my main motivating force behind why I do this. I believe that I buy my own karma. I believe karma is actually a currency itself. So people wonder why I give this away for free, and they think there's some underlying thing. Well, there is. I mean, when you give away something beautiful for free, you are going to get taken care of. The planet, the world will take care of you. Women will take care of you specifically, and everyone will take care of you. And I just have a very good just certainty that will occur, and that has occurred. So I have no concerns. I'm more concerned with the country going to shit than anything, because if I had all the money in the world and the country goes to shit, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, so. One last thing, I'm a very proud member of what is called the Ars Amorata, and I'll show you guys what that means. That's this ring right here. You guys have seen this ring. Some people think it's a, Illuminati ring. I'm going to show this ring to you guys very, very in depth. That way you can see it for yourself. I don't really want to get any more questions on it. I get too many fucking questions, okay? So you can see on the inside of the ring, it has my initials. I had this custom made. This was not made through the Ars Amorata. This was actually just made myself. So the Ars Amorata, I'll show you guys what that is. It's arsamorata.com. Okay, so the Ars Amorata, what does it say here? The celebration of the art of seduction, the rebirth of romance, and a lifelong quest for beauty and adventure, right? So this is a guy, his name is Zanparian, somebody who I love very, very much. And he wrote a book here called The Alabaster Girl, and it's the greatest book I have ever read in my entire life. In fact, if you go on the Amazon and you look up the book, you'll see my review for the book, which is a very heartfelt review, is quite long, and it has the most upvotes or whatever you'll see about the book. This book changed my life to a very, very dramatic degree. I've had a trouble interacting with and appreciating women and having a grip over my own sexuality for most of my life. It's one of the key reasons why I actually got involved in Scientology in the first place. Scientology has helped me a dramatic amount to address that situation, and then this book specifically has also helped me dramatically. It's the best book ever, and I must say, anyone watching this course, I highly, highly recommend that you listen to this. Recently on Audible, Zanparian actually released a copy of the book after 10 years of not having an audiobook. He just recently, I mean, when I say recently, like 5 months ago, he just recently finished the audio copy, the audio version. And it's in his voice. He actually voiced the whole thing personally, and it's beautiful. And inside of the Ars Amorata, there's a group called the Amorati. And the Amorati is the internalized special group inside of the Ars Amorata, like the, what would you call it, the elite, right? And there's multiple levels. The first level is the essentials, okay? And then the second level, well, at that time, I haven't been super involved in this for a while just due to all this research and everything. But the first level that you do is, I believe at the time when I did it, it was a 90-day program called the Essentials, right? And then I did the Essentials, and then after that, there was a mastery course with Zan personally for 90 days, and I did the mastery course. And every year there's an event in Bucharest, Romania, which is the headquarters and Zan's home. I've never gone there. I'd like to go there. I've been very, very broke most of my life up until very recently, to be honest with you, until I started learning all this stuff, and now I've got infinite money, basically. Not quite, but a lot, and then going to be infinite very soon. So I have a strong desire to go out to Bucharest, Romania one day and see him. And then another huge influence in my life, I'm a huge, what he calls devotee, is the $1 trillion man, Dan S. Pena, right? And whatever, he's saying some stuff about Trump here. I'm not political, so I will avoid that. I'm not interested in that. He is a big Trump fan, but Mr. Pena is an absolutely incredible person. And my whole breakdown of how I do everything that I do, where everything's free all the way down, and I only charge for like major litigation services. That entire breakdown comes from Mr. Pena. It's actually his business layout. Everything's free all the way down. You can find endless amounts of videos. All his stuff is free. Everything's free. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of audio. His book, which is called Your First 100 Million, is free. He has a free audiobook version, and then also a free ebook version. You can get everything for free. He is one of the most incredible people. I did nothing between 2017 and 2020. I was listening to Mr. Pena pretty much all day, every day. I mean, literally, just constantly, right? And another huge influence for me is Mr. Kennedy, Dan S. Kennedy. So Dan S. Kennedy is, he has many books, maybe 35 books. I've read probably 31 of them. He's just absolutely incredible. He has some YouTube videos that are incredible. So Russell Brunson is... Russell Brunson. He is the creator of ClickFunnels, clickfunnels.com, which was very, very popular for many years, like a few years ago. It's kind of not so much anymore, but so Dan S. Kennedy is the guy who birthed Russell Brunson. And Russell Brunson recently bought out Dan S. Kennedy, and he has this whole no BS marketing platform, which I'm sure I can find here. So Russell Brunson bought out his whole platform, and they're like besties. And Russell Brunson is very, very open and very, very, respectful, and has a lot of admiration for Mr. Kennedy. And so my biggest influences in my life are Dan S. Kennedy, Dan S. Pena, and then obviously Zan Perian, and then L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology. And this is the amalgamation of these four individuals, Mr. Hubbard, Zan Perian, Mr. Pena, and Dan S. Kennedy. These are the four people that kind of make up the entire structural background of, everything that I've ever known and loved. And it's kind of what makes up this whole kind of one stupid fuck branding and kind of everything that I do. And it's kind of like my whole influential background and kind of everything I love. And yeah. So yeah, that's it about me. Nothing else here that I haven't covered. I think everything is covered. So I hope that's a good introduction. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And I'll see you guys at video number 7. We'll get back into the actual educational stuff of this. Okay? See you later.